Jawad or bin Jawad. Now we have been in the less systematic war compared to the previous, where we saw unorganized form of combats in order to accomplish one mission.
Do you think they're more organized now? Because one of the things that was clear was that these were the revolters, as you call them, were largely untrained, uncoordinated, with no command structure. Is that changing?
No, I believe the change came the day before when they formed the general command of the Libyan army. Therefore, we have now generals and less ranking officers having practical orders on the ground. They are now in control of logistics and supply lines. I can also say we are in a desert war, and in this long line, if you go through the military history, you would recall Montgomery and Rommel. One of them was in Libya, the other was in Egypt. On many occasions, we have seen the hit-and-run battles, very exciting situations. When we look at this battle today and maybe tomorrow, there is a rule that who has less or shorter logistic lines will triumph. Who will have longer lines will be defeated. Let me also say that the forces fighting in Ras Al Hanouf and Marsa Brega, Aqila, have their own sources in Abgadia and Benghazi in very short logistic and supply lines, while Gaddafi has served 150 kilometers away. I also can say that hundreds of kilometers also extend for Tripoli. I believe that the revolting are more organized. Maybe they have less firing capabilities and do not have heavy artillery, but they are more organized in moving on the ground. Also very significant here to see that there is a battle which is smothered by the media. You see the plume of smoke will no doubt is being watched in the Situation Room in the White House, and this will have very significant impact, and I believe the resolution is very imminent and soon.
Thank you very much indeed for your expertise there. Good to talk to you, General Safwat Al-Zayat, with us in the studio.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's remind you of our top story now on the events in Libya. Gaddafi's forces have launched new attacks on Ras Al Hanouf, a key oil refining town, which the rebels are battling to hold on to. Live pictures are coming out there, huge plumes of smoke coming into the air. We're also getting reports of fighting between Gaddafi forces and protesters in nearby Bin Jawad. Meanwhile, forces loyal to Gaddafi have also reportedly surrounded the western town of AlJazeera, close to the capital. And we're being told that 3 of Gaddafi's private planes have left Tripoli. We know that one of them has landed in Egypt, carrying the Libyan Deputy Defence Minister. Lawrence Lee has this report on the latest in Libya.
These extraordinary pictures from the rebel front line outside Ras Al Hanouf give a graphic illustration of the challenges facing the uprising. Small groups of men mill around, encouraging each other. After a quiet few hours, the air raids have begun again. Suddenly, there's a target to aim at. A few more seconds pass, and then a Libyan warplane can clearly be seen. This is why it's so hard for the rebels. They have so little time to aim their guns. Given all that, it remains striking how defiant they are.
Where is Gaddafi? We want him here where we're fighting. Gaddafi is sitting in his control room.
This is game over, Gaddafi.
We really want you to just leave Libya and save us from all this bloodshed. Let the young generation rebuild Libya from scratch.
It says nothing for Gaddafi that he's unable to take more advantage of these weaknesses. His latest offer to talk to the media in Tripoli turned into a farcical speech behind a curtain in the middle of the night, in which he once again suggested there was no domestic opposition. It's a small group from Afghanistan, Algeria, Egypt and Palestine who entered cities. They recruited youngsters, juveniles under the age of 20, upon whom the law cannot even apply. How did they recruit them? They told them to chant, "Say Allahu Akbar." After the bombing run, the fighters move in convoy towards Ras Lanuf to take their fight to the ground. Just as inevitably, a few minutes later, the ambulances start coming back. The weaknesses of both sides in all this mean the chaos looks open-ended. This is how failed states happen. Lawrence Lee, Al Jazeera.
Anti-government protesters in Yemen remain defiant despite the death of at least one man. Police stormed the crowds of demonstrators outside Sana'a University. Hashim Halbra reports from Sana'a.
Security beefed up around the university square. Fury building in the aftermath of the deadly assault by security forces on these protesters. Spent ammunition and tear gas canisters litter the ground. The government says its act was prompted by the discovery of a cache of weapons. Allegations dismissed by the students who erected tents in this square, which has become the epicenter of the pro-democracy movement.
It was organized crime. Groups of security forces came from all directions and armed soldiers were positioned on the roofs of buildings. They started firing on us. It was followed by volleys of shots. It's a crime against humanity.
Violence is spreading across the country. In the province of Dhamar, a President Saleh stronghold, loyalists are seen here attacking the protesters despite the presence of security forces. Government pledges to stop the violence fail to deter loyalists armed with weapons, batons and daggers, spreading fear across the country. The ongoing attacks spurred these tribal leaders in the province of Marib to denounce President Saleh and join the protesters in their fight for a change in Yemen. Marib is home to most of Yemen's oil fields.
Mr. President, don't treat your people like Gaddafi. Mr. Saleh, don't disgrace your legacy. We implore you to leave Yemen and let the Yemenis decide their future.
For the time being, the embattled president clings to power. He has called for a national forum on Thursday to seek a peaceful solution to Yemen's deepening crisis. But the crisis isn't showing any signs of relenting. Parts of the country appear to be slipping beyond the control of the government, and the protesters reject calls for dialogue with President Saleh still in power. Hashim Al-Bara, Al Jazeera, Sana'a.
A Tunisian court has dissolved the party of ousted President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali. The Constitutional Democratic Rally, or RCD, was suspended last month pending the court's ruling. Ben Ali used the party as a way of maintaining power during almost 2 decades as leader. Egypt's Prosecutor General has launched an investigation into clashes between Muslims and Christians, which killed at least 11 people. More than 1,000 Coptic Christians were protesting against the torching of a church when